Reborn Uchiha Itachi Power, I Solo 5 Kage. Welcome funds. Enjoy exclusive audiobook experiences right here. For full access to complete stories, visit my website or support me on Patreon, links are in the description. Episode 11 Prestige. Pressure. Old dang. The atmosphere inside the tent was somewhat awkward. Tsunade was wrapped in a blanket, her face still flushed, but her eyes had regained their clarity. As expected of one of the legendary Sannin, her mental fortitude is exceptional. Even after losing her first kiss and nearly dying, she's back to her senses now. Tobirama. Tsunade suddenly spoke, her tone serious. Regarding today's events, and your knowledge of medical ninjutsu, I'll cover for you. As for the kaleidoscope, if you don't want to be targeted by that rat in the gutter, Danzo, you'd better keep a low profile. This is teaching him to conceal his true abilities. It's also about protecting one's own. But the next second, Tsunade changed her tone, her eyes turning sharp. However, let me make this clear from the start. Although I have some feelings for you, you also saved my life. But if you use this power to harm Konoha in the future, or become a madman like your ancestor, Uchiha Madara. Tsunade took a deep breath and stared intently into Tobirama's eyes. I will kill you with my own hands. Even if it means death, I'll drag you down to hell with me. This is Tsunade. They have clear likes and dislikes, and are absolutely unambiguous on matters of principle. Upon hearing this, Tobirama was not angry at all. Instead, he chuckled softly. He stood up, turned his back to Tsunade, and waved his hand with an incredibly dashing air. Okay, if that day ever comes, you're welcome to come and kill me. However, you're too weak right now. You want to kill me? Master the 100 healings technique first, Tsunade-sensei. After saying that, he lifted the curtain and went out. The tent fell silent again. Tsunade looked at the swaying curtain, and her tense shoulders slumped. She touched her still slightly burning lips, her mind filled with the aggressive kiss from just moments before. From hell to heaven, from despair to excitement. The ups and downs of that night were more thrilling than anything she'd experienced in the past 20 years. You brat. Tsunade cursed, but couldn't help but smile wildly. Finally, she buried her face in the pillow and let out a silly laugh that only a young girl in love would have. Camp Supply Depot. Quick, prepare all the medicines. At Tobirama's command, several support ninjas obediently followed his orders. Tobirama's words are more effective than the Hokage's orders now. He stood in front of the control panel, his hands moving so fast they were barely visible. Grinding, extraction, and blending. In less than 10 minutes, a large tub of green detoxifying solution was prepared. Dilute it with water at a ratio of 1 to 10, and distribute it to everyone. Yes, Lord Tobirama. Half an hour later, the once lifeless camp has come alive. I'm not dizzy anymore. I can move again. A miracle drug. This is simply a miracle drug. Wow, I survived. I thought I was going to die this time. The joy of surviving a disaster spread like a plague. All the recovered Konoha ninja, regardless of the severity of their injuries, spontaneously gathered in the center of the camp. There, Tobirama Uchiha had just finished feeding medicine to the last seriously wounded soldier. Long live Lord Tobirama. I don't know who shouted it first. Immediately following was a deafening roar. Long live Lord Tobirama. Hero. Lord Tobirama is our hero. In this world where the strong are respected and human life is cheap, whoever can save their lives is their father. What Uchiha division? What arrogance of a powerful clan? Compared to the debt of gratitude for saving a life, all of that is utter bullshit. Tsunade composed herself, changed into clean clothes, and came out to find this scene before her. The 12-year-old boy was surrounded by hundreds of ninjas, the center of attention. Everyone's eyes were filled with fervor, as if they wished they could worship Tobirama right now. Quiet. Quote. Tobirama raised his hand and pressed it down. Instantly, the entire audience of several hundred people fell silent. That's prestige. Tobirama glanced around, a signature sunny smile on his face, a must-have for anyone aspiring to become Hokage. You're welcome, everyone. We are comrades. On the battlefield, it is a ninja's duty to entrust their lives to each other back to back. I belong to the Uchiha clan, although my personality might not be very popular in the village. At this, a burst of laughter erupted from the audience, instantly lightening the atmosphere considerably. But we will always be a part of Konoha. Where leaves dance, fire will burn. Follow me, end the war, and come home alive. End the war, come home alive. End the war, come home alive. At that moment, the name Tobirama Uchiha was completely imprinted in the hearts of these frontline elites. Outside the crowd, Tsunade leaned against the broken wall, looking at the spirited young man with tenderness in her eyes. This kid, he's a born leader. Beside him, Jiraiya, who had just woken up and was sporting dark circles under his eyes, leaned over with a sour look on his face. TCH, all he does is show off. But then again, Tsunade, you've really struck gold this time. This kid's influence is probably stronger than the old man's. Tsunade glanced at him sideways, her face full of arrogance. Of course, doesn't he know whose apprentice he is? 2 days later, Konoha Village, Hokage Building. Hiruzen Sarutobi stared intently at the urgent battle report in his hands trembling. Urgent report from the front lines. Tobirama Uchiha has decisively defeated Hanzo of the Salamander at the Rain Country camp. Hanzo escapes with a severed arm. The entire Rain Ninja army is wiped out. Possibly awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan. Defeated the Rain Ninja's attack. Killed hundreds of Rain Ninja. Morale is high at the front lines. All ninjas are following Tobirama's lead. Every word sent shivers down Hiruzen Sarutobi's spine. Kaleidoscope, Susanoo. Hiruzen Sarutobi muttered to himself, his face deathly pale. As a disciple of the second Hokage, he knew all too well what this meant. That's Madara Uchiha's power. That's a power capable of destroying the world. 12 years old, Kage-level strength, awakened the kaleidoscope, forced back a demigod. This isn't just genius, this is monster. Hiruzen Sarutobi picked up the pipe again, but his hand couldn't hold it steady. Fear, a deep sense of dread. But at the same time, there was also a hint of greed. If he could fully utilize this power. But what if he loses control? Just as Hiruzen Sarutobi was fighting the Amanto. From the shadows, the sound of a cane tapping the ground rang out. Hiruzen, you saw that, didn't you? Danzo walked out with a gloomy face, his single eye was frighteningly red, clearly he had just seen the intelligence and was extremely anxious. The Uchiha clan is a threat. A second Madara Uchiha has appeared. This must be dealt with immediately. Danzo slammed his hand on the table. While he's still on the front lines and hasn't fully matured yet, transfer him back to the village. Leave it to me, leave it to Jen. I will use a cursed seal to control him and brainwash him into Konoha's sharpest weapon. If he doesn't obey, then kill him. Gouge out his eyes. Danzo's greed was no longer concealed. Mangekyo Sharingan. If he could obtain those eyes, how could Danzo possibly fail to become Hokage? Shut up, Danzo. Hiruzen Sarutobi suddenly stood up, unleashing a Kage-level aura. That's a hero of Konoha. He just saved hundreds of his comrades and just drove off Hanzo. You're going to attack him now? Do you want to demoralize the soldiers on the front lines? Do you want to drive the Uchiha clan into rebellion? Danzo sneered, refusing to budge an inch. Heroes? They're a hidden danger. The Uchiha are inherently evil. Once he masters this power, do you think he'll still listen to you? Look at what the battle report says. We'll follow Tobirama's lead without question. Hiruzen, your Hokage position is in jeopardy. And you're still here talking to me about the will of fire. This statement struck a nerve with Hiruzen Sarutobi. He fell silent. His eyes flickered uncertainly. Yes, his achievements overshadowed those of his superior. An Uchiha who possessed both absolute power and extremely high prestige. That's too dangerous. Not now. After a long while, Hiruzen Sarutobi sat down again, took a deep drag on his cigarette, and let the smoke obscure his expression. This is wartime. We need this force. And Tsunade is over there, as are Jiraiya and Orochimaru. Besides, he's a hero of Konoha now, his prestige is just too great. If we act rashly, it will cause a huge mess. Let's try to win them over first. After all, he's Tsunade's apprentice, he still has a chance to become the successor to the Will of Fire. Hiruzen Sarutobi narrowed his eyes, reverting to his cunning and calculating politician demeanor. Increase the reward amount. Promote him as the successor to the Will of Fire. Praise him up, elevate him to a high position, so that he has no choice but to risk his life for the village. As for the future, Hiruzen Sarutobi didn't finish his sentence, but a cold glint flashed in his eyes. Danzo saw through his old friend's thoughts. To praise someone to death. Keep them calm and use them as pawns, settle scores slowly after the war is over. HMPH, you'll regret this, Hiruzen. Your indecisiveness will eventually harm Konoha. Danzo snorted coldly and turned to leave. As he reached the door, he stopped and said in a sinister tone. However, I will not give up. The Roots will be watching him constantly. The gates closed. Hiruzen Sarutobi leaned back wearily in his chair, gazing out the window at the Hokage Rock. Uchiha Tobirama, I hope you will be a smart child. I hope you can make the right choice. Episode 12, The Ninja World is Shocked. Reactions from all sides, and the teacher's special patrol. The rain in the Land of Rain finally stopped for a while. Although the sky was still overcast, the atmosphere in the Konoha camp was like that of a New Year celebration. News of Hanzo's defeat spread like wildfire to the Western Front. The main force of Konoha, which was originally locked in a fierce battle with the Iwa Ninja, suddenly experienced a surge in morale and managed to push the Iwa Ninja back to the border. The situation has stabilized. Camp Command Post. Several masked ANBU members knelt on one knee before Tobirama, their posture unusually respectful. Lord Tobirama, this is the Hokage's personal instruction and reward. The leader of the Dark Forces presented 3 scrolls with both hands. Tobirama casually took it, opened it, and glanced at it. Rank B Ninjutsu, Fire Release, Great Fire Annihilation. S Rank Ninjutsu, Multiple Shadow Clone Technique. Rank A Ninjutsu, Fire Release, Dragon Flame Song Technique. TSK, the old man really went all out this time. Unfortunately, aside from Multiple Shadow Clone Technique, they're all trash to me. I've already mastered all the fire release techniques in this world. A playful smile appeared on Tobirama's lips. In addition to ninjutsu, there was also a commendation order. The Hokage's seal is stamped on it, and the 4 bright red characters, Konoha heroes, are particularly eye-catching. Tell the Hokage that I've accepted the item. Tobirama casually stuffed the scroll into his ninja tool pouch. I will always put the village first, and I am willing to sacrifice myself if the village needs me. Yes. Quote. The Secret Service personnel respectfully withdrew. After the Anbu left, Tobirama let out a few cold laughs. Wait a little longer, it'll be soon. Once this war ends, my prestige will soar to the top, and then the family and the village will all be mine. At the same time, the aftershocks of Hanzo's critically injured escape finally spread throughout the entire ninja world. Land of Earth, Hidden Rock Village. Tsuchikage's office. Snap. The third Tsuchikage, Onoki, had just picked up his teacup when his hand trembled, and he twisted his back again. Ouch, my back. But he ignored the pain, staring wide-eyed at the intelligence report in his hand, his bulbous nose trembling. It's fake. It's absolutely fake. That old geezer Hanzo may be annoying, but he's a genuine demigod. How could he possibly lose to a 12-year-old brat? Susanoo, the Red Giant. Upon reading these words, Onoki's face turned deathly pale. He had seen Madara Uchiha before. That godlike sense of despair remained a haunting nightmare for him even decades later. Could it be that another Madara has emerged from the Uchiha clan? Onoki took a deep breath, his expression becoming extremely serious. Pass down the order. Frontline troops, cease your offensive immediately. Switch to full defense. Until Tobirama Uchiha's information is confirmed, no one is allowed to make any rash moves. Don't provoke him. Land of Lightning, Hidden Cloud Village. Reikage Building Gym. The third Reikage was doing squats while lifting 2-ton dumbbells, his muscles bulging like granite. Father, something terrible has happened. The future fourth Reikage, rushed in, clutching intelligence in his hand. A monster has appeared in Konoha and driven Hanzo away. The third Reikage threw down the dumbbell, smashing it into the floor with a loud thud. He took the intelligence report, glanced at it, snorted heavily, and looked disdainful. TCH, that old B********* D Hanzo. They're just taking advantage of the poison gas to bully people. What Susanoo? It's just a giant target. If they encounter my strongest spear, I'll pierce them with a single finger. Although he remained defiant, a hint of wariness crept into his eyes. However, Konoha's luck is really frustrating. Tell that ninja kid at the front lines not to attack for now, wait and see how things go before making a decision. The Land of Wind, Tsunagakure Village. Granny Chio sat in the puppet workshop, looking at the intelligence report, her wrinkled face shifting between light and shadow. The Red Giant. Kaleidoscope. Konoha. Truly a village blessed by the heavens. It seems the tide is about to turn in this major battle. The various ninja villages reacted differently, but they had one thing in common. Everyone is afraid. The name, Uchiha Tobirama, became the top of the S-class wanted lists of major countries overnight, and the bounty skyrocketed to 50 million ryo. The situation at the front lines has temporarily calmed down. The Rain Ninja were crippled, while the Rock Ninja cowered like turtles. A rare truce. In a dense forest on the border of the Land of Rain. Is this the patrol route you were going to bring me along? Tsunade crossed her arms, leaned against a large tree, and looked at Tobirama with a half-smile. The scenery here is superb, far from the hustle and bustle of the campsite, so quiet that you can only hear birds chirping. This isn't a patrol, this is clearly a date. What, you don't like it? Tobirama wasn't wearing his blood-stained combat uniform anymore, he had changed into a black turtleneck casual outfit, which made him look tall and handsome, almost too handsome. He walked up to Tsunade, his dark eyes carrying a hint of aggression. Tsunade-sensei, a few days ago in the tent. You said you'd back out now, don't tell me. When the incident from that night was mentioned, Tsunade's face instantly turned red. That contrast between her mature, aloof demeanor and her shyness was so endearing that Tobirama felt a strong urge to seduce her. Who said they were going to back out? Tsunade's eyes darted around, but she stubbornly replied. Besides, I was talking nonsense because the poison had entered my brain. Besides, you're only 12 years old. You want to date me? Wait until you're taller. Tobirama smiled. He suddenly stepped forward. Tsunade instinctively wanted to back away, but found that there was a large tree behind her, leaving her nowhere to retreat. Tree thud. Tobirama braced himself against a tree trunk, holding Tsunade close to his chest. Although he was only 12 years old, Tobirama had grown exceptionally tall, and his height had already surpassed Tsunade's, so he was now completely looking down on her. Growing taller is no longer an option, since I'm already quite tall and big. But when it comes to relationships, you have to act quickly. Tobirama leaned close to her ear, his breath hot against her neck, and gently hooked a strand of Tsunade's golden hair around his fingertips. To avoid disappointing your wish, teacher, I feel obligated to sacrifice myself. Let's help Tsunade-sensei fulfill your wish. Tsunade looked at the boy who was so close to her. Her own panicked state was reflected in those eyes. He's clearly a little devil. Why is my heart beating so fast? Why does all my strange strength seem to disappear in his presence, and all I want to do is lean against him? Tsunade bit her lip, wanting to push him away, but her outstretched hand instead gently grabbed his collar. Are you confessing your feelings to the Jonin leading the team? This violates the ninja code. Tobirama smiled slightly, lowered his head, and gently pecked her smooth forehead. Ninja rules? That rule is for the weak. I am Tobirama Uchiha. My rules are the rules. Tsunade shuddered. The touch on my forehead was warm, like an electric current instantly piercing my heart. Finish. It's over. That brat, he's too good at it. HMPH, smooth talker. Tsunade kept her head down, her voice barely audible, but she didn't push him away. Instead, she gently rested her head on Tobirama's shoulder. Then, I'll give you an internship. If you don't perform well, I'll fire you anytime. Tobirama wrapped his arms around her slender yet powerful waist. Soft. So soft. Big and soft. Yes, Master Tsunade. Episode 13 Flying Thunder God Technique plus 9 tails. Invincible. Hey, is that enough? Tsunade lowered her head, looking at their clasped hands, her voice slightly weak. Since the patrol ended, this kid hasn't let go of my hand. The key point is that this is still on the edge of the camp, where patrolling ninjas could pass by at any time. This sense of transgression, the possibility of being discovered at any moment, made Tsunade feel somewhat guilty. What do you mean? Tobirama asked the question knowing the answer already, and deliberately tickled her palm with his finger. The road is slippery. I'm afraid the teacher will fall. Do you think a taijutsu ninja, can't even walk steadily? Tsunade glared at him, embarrassed and annoyed, and tried to shake him off, but she used almost the strength of a child throwing a tantrum. That's hard to say. Tobirama stopped and turned to look at her. Under the moonlight, Tsunade's face was flushed, and she looked less domineering than usual, but more charming and feminine. After all, someone's legs were practically shaking in the woods just now. You still dare to talk? Tsunade panicked and reached out to cover his mouth. Tobirama seized the opportunity to grab her wrist and pull her into his arms. The two collided head-on again. Uchiha Tobirama. Tsunade gritted her teeth, but her body betrayed her. Instead of pushing him away, she buried her head in his chest, her voice muffled. You better tone it down. If Jiraiya or Orochimaru saw this, where would I put my face? That's perfect. Tobirama chuckled softly in her ear, his warm breath tickling Tsunade's ear. Just say you're giving me special training. A special training program called a dating internship. Tsunade was amused by this shameless remark. She looked up at the boy, who was much younger than her but incredibly assertive. They must be possessed. He's just a kid, how come he's so good at flirting? Alright, go back now. Tsunade gave him a push, straightened her disheveled collar, and regained some of her strict teacher demeanor, though her face was still red. We need to get up early tomorrow to set up the defenses. Besides, she took 2 steps, then suddenly stopped, her back to Tobirama, her voice as soft as the wind. I had a great time tonight. After saying that, he activated his body flicker technique and slipped away. Like a little girl who has done something wrong and is afraid of getting caught. Tobirama watched the direction she disappeared in, rubbing his fingers together. Tsunade's body heat and faint fragrance still lingered on them. The mature woman has turned into a young girl. So cute, it's unfair. Back in my individual tent. Tobirama's smile vanished, and he instantly switched back to calm mode. Strength is everything. You can't neglect your abilities while pursuing romance. System, open the panel. Host, Uchiha Tobirama. Strength, super shadow level, continuously growing. Ninjutsu, proficient in all ninjutsu types, fire, lightning, wind, earth, and water. Special abilities, Mangekyu Sharingan, Amaterasu, Tsukuyomi, Susanoo, complete form unlocked, healthy Itachi template, 100% fusion. Summoning beasts, fully encyclopedia unlocked, can be summoned in real life. Quote. Tobirama's gaze sharpened. The system seemed to have notified me of some new feature. Ding. Detected that the host has unlocked all summoning beasts in the All Heavens arena. Real-world summoning privileges are now enabled. Rules: the host does not need to sign a contract in the real world, they can directly summon summoning beasts in the dueling arena, such as pandas, crows, manda, enma, etc., by consuming chakra. Note: the summoned beasts summoned by the system are independent of the native creatures of the ninja world and are absolutely loyal. Holy crap! Tobirama's eyes lit up. This feature is incredible. It's important to understand that summoned beasts are unique. For example, Manda is Orochimaru's pet, it has a terrible temper and eats living people. But now, the system has directly provided a copy, and it's an absolutely obedient version. This means that as long as he has enough chakra, he can summon an entire army of summoned beasts all by himself. And that mastery of all elemental ninjutsu. The reward he received on his way back has now completely filled his ninja repertoire. All 5 elements are present. A true ninjutsu machine gun. Remember the third Hokage's title of Professor of Ninjutsu. If he wanted, Tobirama could easily replace him and become the new Professor of Ninjutsu. But Tobirama stroked his chin, reflecting on the previous battle. Although Susanoo is invincible, and although Itachi's genjutsu is unbreakable, however, it has one weakness: movement speed. Previously, when fighting Hanzo, although his reaction was fast, he relied entirely on his legs to chase. If Hanzo was determined to run away and burrowed into the ground like an eel, he might not be able to catch him every time. We need to get a teleportation skill. That one would be best. With a thought, Tobirama's consciousness sank into the system space. Duel Arena, activate. The familiar Colosseum in Rome. The cheers were deafening. Today's challenge attempts, 1/1. Matching opponents. Match successful. Opponent, Minato Namikaze, Edo Tensei. A flash of golden light. Standing opposite was a man dressed in a divine robe, his eyes gentle yet sharp, holding a specially made flying thunder god kunai in his hand. A yellow flash. Tobirama was amused. It's like my wish came true. The reanimated version of Minato is a peak form possessing half of the 9 tails, yin 9 tails, chakra, plus the flying thunder god technique. Then I'm sorry, 4th generation. I want your cheat. Character selection screen. Without hesitation, Tobirama chose to eliminate Madara, the ninja whom all players scorned as a treacherous schemer. You're fast? Fine, then I'll unleash a full-screen attack and see where you can hide. Battle begins. Brush. The countdown had just ended when Minato disappeared. Flying Thunder God. I knew you'd be coming, so I've been waiting for you. 8 consecutive fireballs to take it all down. Although Minato was fast, he was still repelled by the 8-strike combo, and Tobirama successfully gained the upper hand. What followed was, unsurprisingly, a frenzied tearing and biting, with the panda's invincible body and the wooden dragon Susanoo relentlessly pursuing and killing him. That's how it is with Edo Tensei Minato. Once he loses his rhythm and falls into a disadvantageous position, he becomes very difficult to play. In the end, Minato collapsed to the ground, turning into scattered pieces of paper. Ding! Congratulations, host, for defeating the formidable enemy, Minato Namikaze, Edo Tensei. Rewards being processed. Congratulations on obtaining Minato Namikaze's Peak Strength Inheritance Card. Contents included: 1. Space-Time Ninjutsu, Flying Thunder God Technique, 2-Stage, Lightning Guidance, Instantaneous Spin, etc., all included. 2. Proficient in sealing techniques of the Uzumaki clan, such as the Reaper Death Seal and the 4 Symbols Seal. 3. Yin 9 Tails Chakra, Perfect Jinchuriki Mode, Infinite Chakra Supply. 4. Rasengan and its nature transformations, Giant Ball, prerequisite for Rasen's Hurricane. Hiss. Looking at the list of rewards, Tobirama gasped. It's been sent. This is absolutely incredible. The Flying Thunder God technique solved the mobility issue. The Yin 9 Tails solved the chakra limit problem, although it already had a lot, who complains about having a long chakra bar. In addition, sealing techniques. Now, I am a true all-rounder. It has no weaknesses. Merge. Boom. A massive amount of chakra, cold, violent yet perfectly controlled, exploded within his body in an instant. That's the power of the 9-tailed fox. At the same time, the perception of spatial coordinates and the imprint of the Flying Thunder God technique were deeply etched into my mind. That feeling. It was as if the entire space was under his control. With just one marker, the ends of the earth can be reached with a single thought. A few minutes later, Tobirama slowly opened his eyes. A golden light seemed to flash deep within his pupils before disappearing. He took a kunai out of his ninja tool pouch. With a flick of his finger, a black spell mark appeared out of thin air on the kunai handle. Flying Thunder God Technique. Give it a try. Tobirama casually tossed the kunai into the corner of the tent. The kunai was still flying in the air. Brush. Quote. Tobirama's figure vanished from his spot in an instant, appearing beside the kunai and firmly catching the still flying kunai. Quick. It surpasses the speed of neural reaction. This isn't speed, it's a leap in space. Is this the Flying Thunder God? Tobirama gripped the kunai, savoring the thrill of instantaneous teleportation, his smile widening. With this, there's nowhere in the vast ninja world I can't go. Hanzo? The next time we meet, you won't even have a chance to run away. Tobirama put away his kunai, lay back on his cot, and put his hands behind his head. I'm in a great mood. Not only did he win Tsunad's heart, but he also filled the last gap in his life. Me now, maybe it's really okay to say it out loud. I am invincible, do as you please. Episode 14 Faith, the death of Hanzo. The next day, just as dawn was breaking, the atmosphere at the Konoha command center was tense and tense. At the end of the long table sat Nara Shikaku, the commander-in-chief of this front line. Although young, the strategies hidden in that pineapple-shaped head of his head were more numerous than those of the entire general staff combined. Tobirama pushed open the door and entered, with Tsunade beside him. As soon as the couple entered, all eyes in the conference room turned to them. Especially the man sitting in the first seat on the left. He had a serious expression, deep nasolabial folds, and wore a high-necked garment printed with a family crest of round fans. Uchiha Toyama, the current head of the Uchiha clan. Upon seeing Tobirama, Tomiyama's expression was complex, a mixture of shock, relief, and a barely concealed apprehension. But he still nodded, as a way of greeting him. In this ninja world where strength reigns supreme, Tobirama's current record is enough to make him an equal to Toyama, an elder. Tobirama nodded slightly, then casually pulled out a chair and sat down next to Tsunade. Everyone's here, let's begin. Nara Shikaku pointed to the map on the table. Although Hanzo escaped, Amigakure still exists. The current state of Amigakure is one of utter weakness, with morale completely shattered and more than half of its main force dead or wounded. My suggestion is, a ruthless glint flashed in Shikaku's eyes. Cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. The army will split into 3 groups, led by Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru, to directly flatten Amigakure and force Hanzo out for a final battle. Agreed. Orochimaru licked his lips, his face filled with bloodlust. I second that. Although Jiraiya sympathized with the common people, he also knew that war allowed no mercy. I have no objection either. Tsunade glanced at Tobirama beside her, her eyes resolute. It passed unanimously. The attack begins. The army marched out, like dark clouds pressing down on the city. Tobirama followed Tsunade's troops, and they were like bulldozers all the way. A trap? Just charge right in. Ambush? Let's just charge straight in. The Rain Fortress, which was originally touted as an impregnable fortress, turned out to be as fragile as paper in the face of overwhelming firepower. Half a day. The 3 armies successfully joined forces at the entrance of Rain Village. At this moment, Amigakure village was shrouded in bleak winds and bitter rain. Those towering steel structures were filled with rain ninjas, their faces filled with despair. On the very center of the tower, Hanzo had lost an arm, wrapped in thick bandages, his face ashen, but his eyes still held a fierce glint. That was the ferocity of a cornered beast fighting back. Konoha, you've gone too far. Hanzo roared, his voice hoarse. All Rain Ninja, heed my command. For our homeland, fight to the death. Kill. Quote. In dire straits, the Rain Ninja launched an astonishing counterattack. Countless kunai and explosive tags rained down like a storm. Despite their superior numbers, Konoha's offensive was halted by this reckless, suicidal attack. Ah, help. We can't hold on. These lunatics are charging in with explosive tags strapped to their bodies. The Konoha ninja in the front line suffered heavy casualties, and a gap appeared in the defensive line. Tsunade, who was being held back by 3 jonin, shouted urgently, "Stay calm. Don't panic." Just then, a voice echoed faintly across the battlefield. What a hassle. Looks like I'll have to clear the area for you. Tobirama stood at the front of the formation and casually pulled a kunai from his ninja tool pouch. A special kind of kunai. The handle is engraved with black spell symbols. He flicked his wrist. Swish swish swish. Dozens of specially made kunai were thrown into the air and scattered in various corners of the battlefield. Hanzo, standing atop the tower, saw this scene and his pupils constricted sharply. Is that guy about to make a move? Before he could react, Flying Thunder God technique. Tobirama's figure vanished in an instant. The next second, brush, quote, a figure appeared on the left, and the head of a rain ninja flew off. Brush, quote, Flashy teleported to the right, instantly slicing 3 assassins carrying explosive tags in half at the waist. Swish 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 swish. Quick, that's too fast. His figure was impossible to detect with the naked eye. All that could be seen was a flash of blade light darting wildly across the battlefield. With each flash, a splash of blood blooms. In just 10 seconds, hundreds of elite rain ninja fell in pools of blood before they could even see the enemy's face. This is. Jiraiya rubbed his eyes and said in surprise. Space-time ninjutsu? This kid, he can do this too? Both Konoha and Amigakure were stunned by this incredible feat. Tobirama flashed and finally stopped at the entrance of Amigakure. The rainwater beneath his feet had turned red, but not a single drop of blood stained his body. He raised his head, his crimson Mangekyo Sharingan locking onto Hanzo atop the tower, even from hundreds of meters away. Hanzo, come down and face your death. On the top of the tower. Hanzo looked down at the rows of corpses below, his hand gripping the scythe trembling. Besides the Susanoo from that day, there's also the space-time ninjutsu we have now. What the hell is the point of fighting? But he cannot back down. Behind him lay Amigakure, home to countless elderly, women, and children, and his dream. Call. Hanzo exhaled a breath of stale air, a resolute glint in his eyes. He leaped down from the tower and landed in front of Tobirama. Holding a sickle in one hand, his figure appears desolate. Uchiha Tobirama. Hanzo's voice was no longer domineering, instead, it carried a sense of desolation. My entire life has been spent fighting for this country. The land of rain, nestled between three great nations, is plagued by constant warfare, and its people suffer greatly. All I wanted was for the people here to have enough to eat, so they wouldn't have to sleep to the sound of crying. What have I done wrong? Hanzo became more and more agitated as he spoke, pointing to the dilapidated buildings behind him and the children crying behind the windows. Your great power sits high above, enjoying peace and prosperity. Yet they impose the pain of war upon us. Even if I die today, I will take a piece of your flesh. These words were spoken with an overwhelming sense of tragedy. Many rain ninjas glared angrily at the Konoha ninjas, and for a moment the Konoha ninjas' gazes wavered. Yes, they are the invaders. The other party was only trying to protect their homeland. But Tobirama smiled. Are you done talking? Tobirama, sword in hand, walked step by step toward Hanzo. Hanzo, don't try to disguise your ridiculous ambitions as some grand ideal. Look at the village behind you. Tobirama pointed to the ruins. Is this what you call protection? Driven by your own ambition, you not only provoked the land of iron, but also declared war on three major powers simultaneously. It was you who brought the war to your own doorstep. It's you who caused these children to lose their parents. Weakness is not a sin, but when the weak dare to challenge the strong, that is the original sin. Every word was piercing to the heart. Hanzo's face was deathly pale, and his body swayed precariously. No, no, I did it for peace. Peace? Tobirama sneered. Peace is won through war, not through dreams. Since your conviction has wavered, then your sword has become dull. Let's end it. Brush. Quote. Tobirama moved. I didn't use Flying Thunder God technique, nor did I use Susanoo. It is the purest form of swordsmanship. Uchiha-style sword leaps in flames. Flames burned on the blade, tracing a perfect arc. Hanzo instinctively raised his scythe to block. But he hesitated. In that instant, looking at the devastated village, his heart was in turmoil. Clang, click. The scythe that had once reaped countless lives snapped in two. Along with the broken throat, there was also half of it. Blood gushed out. Hanzo's eyes widened, and the broken scythe in his hand fell into the muddy water. He lost. We didn't lose because of a lack of strength, but because of a lack of conviction. Cough, cough, cough. Hanzo collapsed to his knees, clutching his neck, his life force rapidly fading away. He looked up at the cold-faced boy in front of him. The resentment in his eyes slowly faded, leaving only a pleading look. I lost. Uchiha, Tobirama, please, let this village go. They are innocent. A dying person's words are often good. In the final moments of his life, this powerful figure set aside all dignity, solely to plead for a way to survive for his people. Tobirama looked at him, the kaleidoscope in his eyes slowly fading. He sheathed his sword. Go ahead and don't worry. Tobirama's voice was calm, devoid of the arrogance of a victor, only displaying a detached statement of facts. From this day forward, Amigakure is no longer yours. It's my spoils. If it's mine, I'll naturally protect it. From now on, this place will be like Konoha, filled with sunshine and peace. Upon hearing this, a glimmer of light finally appeared in Hanzo's cloudy eyes. That was a sense of relief. Yeah, then, I'll leave it to you. Hanzo's head slowly lowered. A demigod of the ninja world, Hanzo the Salamander. Die. The rain is still falling. But this time, it seemed as if they were bidding farewell to this old-fashioned tyrant. Tsunade looked at Tobirama standing beside the corpse, her eyes filled with a complex yet proud expression. She walked over and stood beside him. It's over? Quote. Tobirama raised his head, watching the dark clouds gradually dissipate overhead, and a smile appeared on his lips. Yes, but only temporarily. Episode 15, Ruling the Land of Rain. Obtaining wood release. Secretary Tsunade. The rain has stopped. Hanzo's headless corpse knelt in the mud, while Tobirama stood in front of him. After a moment of silence, the entire battlefield erupted in cheers that seemed to shake the heavens. We won. Hanzo is dead. We won. The Konoha ninjas have gone mad. Some threw ninja tools into the air, some knelt on the ground and wept, and many more looked at the boys standing on the ruins of the tower with fervent eyes, like believers who had seen their god. Mr. Doorway. Mr. Doorway. It's unclear who started it, but the shouts of thousands of people converged into a torrent. At this moment, the Hokage and the legendary Sannin were of no use to them. Tobirama Uchiha was the only true faith. Tobirama stood on high ground, the wind blowing his robes, making him flutter. He raised his hand and pressed down lightly. Brush. The cheers of thousands of people stopped instantly. The order was obeyed without question, more disciplined than a regular army. That's prestige. Everyone. Tobirama spoke. This victory doesn't belong to me alone. It was earned with the lives of those brothers lying in the mud. It was won with the blood of every one of you. You are all heroes. One sentence ignited everyone's emotions. Many Konoha ninja had red eyes. Too many people had died in this war, and each of them was a friend, classmate, or family member. Now that Tobirama has mentioned them and immediately affirmed their heroic status, those of them who are still alive are incredibly excited. Immediately afterwards, Tobirama changed the subject, his scarlet eyes turning to the remaining Rain ninja huddled in the corner, trembling with fear. Listen, you Ren. Hanzo is dead. The era that brought you war and suffering has ended. Now, I'm giving you two choices. Tobirama held up two fingers. First, take up arms and fight to the death like a man. Second, lay down your weapons. From today onward, you are all people of Konoha. Konoha will not discriminate against you, nor will it plunder you. Your families will be protected, your children will be able to go to school, and you will have the same right to live in the sunlight as the villagers of Konoha. I, Tobirama Uchiha, swear on the honor of the Uchiha clan. The words had barely left his mouth. Clang! The first kunai fell to the ground. Then came the second round, the third round. The sounds of weapons hitting the ground were continuous. Those Rain ninjas who had been numb and ready to fight to the death now covered their faces, knelt on the ground, and wailed loudly. They don't want war. All they wanted was to survive and have enough to eat. What Hanzo couldn't give, this young man in front of me gave. I surrender. We surrender. Occasionally, a few die-hard fans would try to resist, shouting for revenge for Lord Hanzo, only to have their throats slit instantly by their comrades or Konoha ninjas. It's an inevitable trend. In just half a day. On the tallest building in Amigakure, Hanzo's flag was torn down and replaced with the fire mark of Konoha. The ninja world is in turmoil. These four words are no longer sufficient to describe the reactions of the major powers. This is practically a magnitude 10 earthquake. Land of lightning, hidden cloud village. Bang! The third Raikage's priceless desk was blasted to smithereens with a single punch. What did you say? Quote, the land of rain is gone? The third Raikage stared wide-eyed, his chest heaving violently, his entire body crackling and exploding with lightning chakra. How long has the war been going on? Less than a year. What was initially thought to be a protracted battle turned into a monster from Konoha, who swept through the region in one fell swoop. Father, we can't wait any longer. AI paced anxiously to the side. If Konoha swallows the land of rain, its resources, population, and territory will explode. If they digest it all, will Kumogakure even have a chance to survive in this ninja world? We must attack. Before they can establish a firm foothold, launch a full-scale attack. The third Raikage took a deep breath, his eyes turning fierce like a wolf. Pass on the order. Turkey leads the team, assembling all the elite troops. Target the border of the Land of Fire. Give it a good beating. We can't let Konoha get all the spoils. Land of Earth, Hidden Rock Village. Onoki floated in midair, his expression also quite unpleasant. Uchiha Tobirama. It seems I underestimated this brat. Not only did they kill Hanzo, but they also annexed the Land of Rain. This audacity and strength are probably already approaching that of Madara Uchiha. Lord Tsuchikage, what should we do? Akatsuchi asked from the side. What to do? Just make do. Onoki gritted his teeth. Let's unite with Tsunagakure. And Kumogakure too. This time, we must suppress Konoha. Tell Laozi and Han, stop hiding your secrets, both of you go to the front lines. A feeling called fear is spreading among the top leaders of major countries. Konoha is too strong. It was so powerful that it disrupted the balance. What was originally a three-way battle instantly turned into a life-or-death struggle where everyone ganged up on Konoha. Amigakure Village, the tallest tower, the leader's office. This place used to be where Hanzo gave orders, but now it has become Tobirama's temporary base. Tobirama sat in a large leather chair, his feet propped up on the table, his eyes closed in contentment. System, settle rewards. Ding! Congratulations, host, for completing the epic achievement, Kill Hanzo. Congratulations, host, on completing the national level achievement, Annihilation of the Kingdom, Annexation of the Rain Kingdom. Rewards are being calculated. Critical hit triggered. Reward received. 1. Immortal body, perfect grade, 100% fusion. 2. Bloodline limit wood release, including advent of a world of trees, true several thousand hands, and other complete ninjutsu. 3. Sage mode, Shiketsu Forest, Ruchi Cave, Mount Myoboku, perfect sage mode in one set, instant activation, no side effects. Boom! An unimaginably vast life force erupted within Tobirama's body in an instant. If the fusion of healthy Itachi's and Nine Tails chakra had turned his mana bar into an ocean, then. Now, this life force has directly made him immortal. Every cell is cheering and dividing. The fatigue vanished instantly. The slight chill that came from using the Mangekyo Sharingan was instantly neutralized by the warm yang release chakra. Yin and yang in harmony. Everything in the universe. Tobirama suddenly opened his eyes. In that instant, his demeanor changed. It is no longer simply sharp, but has gained a sense of weight and a divine quality that encompasses all things. He raised his hand. In the palm of my hand, a tender green sapling sprouted and instantly grew into a sturdy wooden stick. Wood release. Ha 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 ha. Quote. Tobirama couldn't help but laugh out loud. That old man Hanzo, despite being called a demigod, is really just a giant experience pack. I killed a false god and got some true god tier gear. This is a huge profit. We're raking in the money. He is now. Left hand, Susanoo, right hand, true several thousand hands. This is essentially a forced stitching together of Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju. Let alone the current ninja world, even if Madara Uchiha came, he would dare to challenge him. Me now. He could probably truly be called the god of the shinobi world. Just as Tobirama was immersed in unparalleled pleasure. The office door was pushed open. What are you laughing at? I can hear your weird laughter from way over there. Tsunade walked in. She changed out of her blood-stained combat uniform and into a simple grey turtleneck sweater and fitted ninja trousers that accentuated her breathtaking curves. He was also holding a thick stack of documents. How is it? What's the situation outside? Tobirama withdrew his wood release and looked at her with a smile. What else can be done? Tsunade slammed the file on the table, then slumped onto the sofa without any regard for her image, rubbing her temples. Jiraiya and Orochimaru have gone to wipe out the rebellious Rain Village resistance forces in the surrounding area. A group was killed, and a group was arrested. The entire Rain Village is in complete chaos right now. Resource allocation, wounded care, prisoner management. It's all piled on my shoulders. Tsunade looked resentful. You're supposed to be the commander-in-chief, but I'm the one doing all the dirty and hard work. I'm here to fight, not to be an accountant. Tobirama's heart stirred as he looked at her languid yet slightly coquettish demeanor. He stood up and walked behind Tsunade. His slender fingers rested on her temples, gently massaging them. The force was just right, and it even carried a little bit of yang release chakra, making Tsunade feel so comfortable that she couldn't help but groan. A little to the left. Yes, right there. Feels good, doesn't it? Tobirama leaned close to her ear and whispered with a chuckle. Tsunade-sensei, the capable should do more. I'm young and inexperienced. You'll have to take charge of this overall situation. Besides, Tobirama's fingers slid down her cheek, gently pinching her plump, collagen-rich face. Your current role is that of my personal assistant. In other words, it's a secretary. From today onwards, Tsunade-sensei. Tobirama deliberately dragged out the last syllable, his tone carrying a hint of teasing. The secretary will handle things when needed, otherwise, cough cough. Tsunade suddenly opened her eyes, her face instantly turning red to the roots of her ears. She slapped Tobirama's hand away and glared at him irritably. You brat, what are you thinking about? Still a secretary? Believe it or not, I'll smash this office to pieces with one punch. Although he spoke fiercely, there was not a trace of murderous intent in his eyes, they were full of reproach. It's good that it's demolished. Tobirama took her hand and kissed it. If you demolish it, we'll just move to another place. Anyway, the entire land of rain is ours now. You can work wherever you want. Tsunade withdrew her hand, her heart pounding. This kid is getting more and more outrageous. He used to call her teacher, but now he treats her like a mistress and teases her. The key is, she wasn't averse to it at all. In fact, she seemed somewhat looking forward to it. HMPH, smooth talker. Tsunade turned her head away haughtily, picked up a document to cover her face, and hid her panic. Get to work. Onoki and the Reikage will definitely make a move. We don't have much time left. Tobirama looked at her bright red ear tips, smiled, and sat back down in the large chair. Don't worry, my dear secretary. No matter who comes. I made sure they never left. Episode 16 A Gift from Heaven. While shopping, I picked up a little girl named Conan. After handing over a mountain of tedious administrative tasks to his new secretary, Tsunade, Tobirama strolled out of the tower with a light heart. The streets of Amigakura village were still flooded. But that lifeless atmosphere is gone. Greetings, Tobirama-sama. Greetings, Tobirama-sama. Wherever Tobirama walked, pedestrians and ninjas would stop and bow respectfully. There was no hatred for the invaders in those eyes, only gratitude. After all, Tobirama kept his word. After Konoha took over, not only did they not loot, but they also distributed food, and even medical ninjas provided free medical services on the streets. For the people of the Land of Rain, who had lived under Hanzo's oppressive rule for many years, this was simply paradise. Be careful, pay attention next time you work, safety should always be the top priority. In a good mood, Tobirama helped an old man prop up his stall, which was about to collapse, and then casually used a water release technique to wash away the mud on the street corner. After this approachable manner, the people around him looked at him with even greater enthusiasm. This is called grinding reputation. A god who is high above inspires awe, but a god who is willing to bow down inspires people to give their lives to him. When I wandered into a secluded alley, please, a faint sound came from behind the trash can. Tobirama stopped in his tracks. A little girl, covered in dirt, was seen leaning against the wall, swaying as she walked over. Her pale orange eyes were filled with longing as she stared at the rice ball in Tobirama's hand. Give. Thump. Before she could finish speaking, the little girl's legs gave way, and she collapsed headfirst into the puddle in front of Tobirama. TSK, trying to scam me? Tobirama made a joke, but his hands moved quickly. He scooped the little girl up in one swift motion. Tobirama was taken aback for a moment upon seeing this. When he brushed aside the girl's muddy, messy hair, her signature bluish-purple hair and the white paper flower folded into her hair made his pupil shrink slightly. Sionan? The future angel of Akatsuki? That rich woman who used 600 billion explosive tags to blow up Obito? Now, she's actually a starving little beggar? Tobirama's lips curled into a wild smile. When luck comes, there's no stopping it. We don't know where Yahiko and Nagato are, but we've already intercepted this angel. Now it's hard to say whether the Akatsuki will even be able to appear in the future. Alright, you're lucky. Tobirama took off his coat, wrapped the dirty kitten in it, picked it up, and disappeared into the rain. Half an hour later, in Todoroki's private bedroom. Under the warm yellow light, Sionan lay on the soft bed, her eyelashes fluttering, and she suddenly opened her eyes. Alert! This was an instinct she developed during her life as a homeless person. Like a frightened little animal, she instantly shrank to the corner of the bed, gripping the blanket tightly with both hands, staring at Tobirama sitting on the edge of the bed with terrified eyes. Woke up? Quote. Tobirama held a steaming bowl of porridge in his hands, looking at her with a smile. Don't be afraid, I don't want to eat you. Here, drink this first. Fragrance. The aroma of the food instantly broke down Sionan's defenses. She swallowed hard, and her stomach rumbled in agreement. I hesitated for 3 seconds. The will to survive triumphed over fear. She cautiously leaned closer, held the bowl, and wolfed down the drink, almost burning her tongue. Slow down, no one's going to take it from you. Looking at her like that, Tobirama couldn't help but reach out and ruffle her short, bluish-purple hair. It feels pretty good in the hand. Sionan stiffened for a moment, but didn't move away. She just buried her head in her porridge, her ears turning red. After finishing the last sip, she put down the bowl, wiped her mouth, and her eyes regained a glimmer of clarity. Thank you, big brother. Sionan's voice is soft and pleasant to hear. But, I have to go. She realized this was the home of an unfamiliar ninja, and it seemed to be a Konoha ninja at that. Konoha ninjas were enemies, and although things were peaceful now, she hadn't forgotten the fear the Konoha ninjas had instilled in her. Sionan threw back the covers and was about to get out of bed. Result. Ouch. I had just stood up when my legs gave way and I slid off the bed, landing hard on the carpet. The movements were endearingly clumsy. Peeved. Tobirama couldn't help but laugh out loud. With your tiny frame, struggling to walk even a couple of steps, where do you think you're going? It's still raining outside, you'll starve if you go out. Sionan sat on the ground, her face flushed red, tears welling up in her eyes. That's so embarrassing. And, it hurts so much. Tobirama walked over, picked her up like a chick, and carried her back to bed, then covered her with the blanket again. Lie still. Heal your wounds before you leave. I won't shortchange you on food. After saying that, Tobirama turned and walked out of the room, turning off the light as he did so. Get a good night's sleep. The room fell silent. Sionan nestled in her warm bed, only her eyes peeking out as she stared at the closed door. His mind raced. This Konoha ninja seems very powerful, and also very wealthy. But I can't stay here forever. This is Konoha ninja territory, it's too dangerous. But I have no strength left. Sionan bit her lip and made a great decision. Pretend to obey first. Once I've recovered and regained my strength, I'll sneak away. Yes, let's do it that way. Having figured this out, Sionan closed her eyes with a sense of peace. A soft bed, a warm, full stomach. A few seconds later, a soft snoring sound began. At this very moment, Naruto Village, Hokage's office. The atmosphere here is much more oppressive than that cozy little bedroom in Amigakure. The air was thick with smoke, making it difficult to open one's eyes. Hiruzen Sarutobi sat in the main seat, puffing on his pipe, his brow furrowed. Across the table were his three old comrades in arms. Danzo, Koharu Utatani, Omura Mitokado. The so-called Konoha F4 are all here. Too fast, too fast. Xiaochen, who had just switched dorm rooms, pushed up her glasses, her tone one of shock. That Tobirama Uchiha, he'd only been on the front lines for a few days, and he'd already destroyed the land of rain. Tobirama Uchiha's prestige on the front lines is too high right now, we must find a way to curb it. If this continues, who will be able to control him when he returns to the village? Mitokado also nodded in agreement. That's right, the Uchiha clan has always been restless. Now that such a powerful genius has emerged, what if he tries to seize power? Danzo's face was grim, and his single eye gleamed with a cold light. Slay the sun. Hesitation leads to disaster. While the other major powers haven't reacted yet, we should. Danzo made a throat-slitting gesture. Kill him. Then shift the blame to Awagakure or Kumogakure. This way, we can eliminate a potential threat and also incite the village's united hatred. That's a really vicious move. A typical Danzo-style mindset. Nonsense. Hiruzen Sarutobi slammed his hand on the table. He is a hero who brought about the destruction of a nation. Kill him now? Do you want Konoha to immediately descend into civil war? Uchiha Toyama, and that old D Uchiha Setsuna, aren't fools. Although Hiruzen Sarutobi was wary, he also had his pride. Moreover, he was even more afraid of internal strife. Then what do you suggest we do? Danzo scoffed. Are we just going to stand by and watch him ride roughshod over you? Hiruzen Sarutobi remained silent for a long time. Finally, he exhaled a smoke ring, his eyes becoming deep and unfathomable. We cannot kill them, nor can we let them go unpunished. Transfer him back. Let him join the Dark Division. Give him the position of squad leader, and keep him under my watchful eye. The Anbu is a unit directly under the Hokage. Cutting off his connection with the Uchiha clan, and also severing his contact with ordinary ninjas, is crucial. Furthermore, infiltrating the shadows can make the public temporarily forget about him and diminish his influence. A promotion in name only, but a demotion in reality, various forms of surveillance. Koharu and Omura exchanged a glance and nodded. This method is safe. Only Danzo sneered and stood up, leaning on his cane. Hiruzen, you're still so weak. The Dark Guard? HMPH, you think a mere Dark Guard could contain that kind of monster? You'll regret it. After saying that, Danzo walked out without looking back. The base of the roots beneath the leaves. Danzo sat in the chair, his fingers lightly tapping the armrest. Hiruzen's attempt to use appeasement is utterly laughable. The Mangekyo Sharingan, that evil power must be placed in my hands. A glint of madness flashed in Danzo's eyes. He recalled Tobirama's terrifying record. If I could have those eyes, even just one. B.C. Two masked figures appeared instantly. Go, quote, contact our spies in the land of rain. Leak the news and route that Tobirama Uchiha is taking back to the village, so they can attack him on his way back. If they fail, all of you go in together and take him out. Do it cleanly, disguise yourselves as Awagakure's demolition team. I want him, dead. But remember, he must keep his eyes closed. Danzo's lips curled into a sinister smile. Since Hiruzen doesn't dare to do it, then I will do it. This is the will of the root. In places where the light cannot reach, I am the sole judge. Episode 17 Office Romance. Disciple Co Nan. Rain-shrouded tower, top floor office. Outside the window, the rain was pouring down, but inside, spring was in full bloom. Smack! Tsunade slammed her pen on the table and slumped unceremoniously into her leather swivel chair, her stunning curves rising and falling with her breath, making onlookers dizzy. I quit. I'm on strike. Tsunade rubbed her aching wrist, glaring resentfully at Tobirama across from her. These damn documents just keep piling up. Resource allocation, post-war reconstruction, and all those petty squabbles from the nobles. Tobirama, you're having a good time being a hands-off manager, aren't you? Tobirama was sitting on the sofa with his legs crossed, drinking tea. Upon hearing this, he put down his teacup and a mischievous smile appeared on his lips. He got up and walked behind Tsunade. He hugged her with both hands and gently tickled her waist. Aha! Tsunade let out a soft, clawing moan of pleasure, then realized her mistake and quickly bit her lip, her face instantly turning red. Secretary Tsunade, is this your job responsibility? Tobirama leaned down, resting his chin on her shoulder, his profile almost touching her earlobe. Hot air is being sprayed. Tsunade felt a tingling, electric sensation all over her body. What secretary? You made that up. Tsunade tried to struggle, but the hands were pressing too comfortably, and her body wouldn't obey her commands. Instead, she leaned back limply. This isn't made up. Tobirama's hand slid down his shoulder, and even through the turtleneck sweater, the heat of his palm was astonishing. Shut up. Quote. Tsunade, embarrassed and annoyed, reached out to cover his mouth, but Tobirama grabbed her wrist. Pull it along with the momentum. The swivel chair rotates. Before Tsunade could react, Tobirama had her trapped between the chair and the desk. They were so close they could count each other's eyelashes. What do you want to do? Tsunade's heart raced, her eyes darted around in a panic, like a fawn cornered in a cage. Of course, it's a reward for the hard-working secretary. Tobirama lowered his head and kissed those incessantly chattering lips. Tsunade's eyes widened, then slowly closed, her hands unconsciously wrapping around Tobirama's neck. This kiss was both domineering and lingering. Tobirama only released Tsunade when she was almost suffocating. Looking at Tsunade, who was panting heavily in his arms and whose eyes were filled with desire, Tobirama licked his lips with satisfaction. Oh, by the way, I have something to tell you. Tobirama casually toyed with a strand of her golden hair. I went shopping today and picked up a little girl. Tsunade was still savoring the kiss from before when she heard this, and then her eyes turned wary as she instantly switched back to Jonin mode. You picked up a child? Tobirama, be careful. Although Omegakure has surrendered, there are still many assassins loyal to Hanzo. Those seemingly harmless children are often the most dangerous weapons. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Tobirama smiled, a smile that exuded confidence and control. I've seen that girl, she's a promising talent. Her chakra nature is quite unique. I plan to take her as my disciple. Disciple? Tsunade raised an eyebrow, looking Tobirama up and down. How old are you? You already want to be a master? Those who are accomplished are teachers. Tobirama leaned closer to her face and grinned mischievously. In some aspects, even though I'm a student, my skills are far superior to yours, Tsunade-sensei. Roll. Quote. Tsunade's face turned as red as a tomato. She kicked Tobirama in the shin, but without using any superhuman strength. Take it if you want, you're in charge here anyway. But, Tsunade straightened her disheveled collar, her gaze softening. Don't go too far. If there's anything wrong with that child, I'll take care of it for you immediately. That's natural. Tobirama kissed her on the forehead. He's gone. Back at my lodgings. It was completely dark. Tobirama pushed open the door, carrying a hot meal he had brought back from the cafeteria. The room was quiet. The blanket on the bed had a small bulge and was still trembling slightly. Stop pretending to be asleep. Tobirama placed the lunchbox on the table and opened the lid. The aroma of the food instantly filled the entire room. For a child who had been homeless for several years, this smell was more lethal than an S-rank ninjutsu. The blanket shifted. A tiny blue head cautiously peeked out. Konan looked at Tobirama warily, but her nose twitched uncontrollably twice. Come and eat. Tobirama waved, his tone as if he were calling to a stray cat. Nan hesitated for a long time. In the end, hunger triumphed over fear. She jumped off the bed barefoot, slipped to the table like a shadow, grabbed her chopsticks, and began shoveling rice into her mouth. He ate so fast that his cheeks bulged out, making him look like a hamster. Tobirama sat opposite her, resting his chin on his hand, watching her with a smile. Eat slowly, there's more. He casually poured a glass of water and pushed it over. Nan was taken aback by this sudden gentleness, and her movements slowed down. She looked up, her orange eyes filled with confusion. This Konoha ninja. Why not kill her? Why give her such good food? Are you full? After Konan put down her chopsticks, Tobirama spoke, his voice gentle. Nan nodded, clutching the hem of her clothes somewhat awkwardly. Now that you're full, let's get down to business. Tobirama's smile faded, and he became slightly more serious. Nan, right? Nan suddenly looked up, her pupils contracting. How did he know my name? Don't be nervous. Tobirama waved his hand. I not only know your name, but I also know you're very talented. In this chaotic world, orphans like you only have two possible fates. Either starve to death on the streets, or be captured and used as cannon fodder. Nan bit her lip and lowered her head. She knew. She knows all too well. So, I'll give you a chance. Tobirama leaned forward, looking directly into her eyes. Become my disciple. From now on, I am your family. The word, family, struck Nan's heart like a heavy hammer. She abruptly raised her head, instinctively wanting to refuse. No, she is a child of the land of rain. Her parents died in the war. To make her a disciple of a Konoha ninja? That's betrayal. Don't rush to refuse. Tobirama interrupted her, seemingly seeing through her little scheme. You can stay with me for a few days and think it over. Being my disciple means not only having food to eat and new clothes to wear, but also never having to worry about safety. Most importantly, Tobirama stretched out his hand, and a ball of chakra condensed in his palm. I will teach you to become stronger. Strong enough to protect those you want to protect, strong enough to transform your dilapidated hometown into the place you desire. Don't you want to use your own hands to transform your hometown into the place you desire? Seo Nan was stunned. Protect those you want to protect. Images of her deceased parents and the many displaced children of Amigakure flashed through her mind. If we had power, wouldn't we no longer need to hide? But, he's a Konoha ninja. They are invaders. Seo Nan was torn between her inner thoughts and her own. On one side is the pride and hatred of being an orphan of the Rain Kingdom, on the other side is the warmth and hope offered by the man before her. This kind of struggle is too heavy for a child who is only a few years old. Tobirama didn't pressure her. He stood up and cleared the table of dishes. The movements were practiced and natural. These everyday actions made Conan feel, for a moment, that this wasn't the room of an enemy ninja, but an ordinary home. After tidying up, Tobirama walked to the bedside. Seo Nan instinctively shrank back. But Tobirama simply picked her up gently, put her back on the bed, and carefully tucked her in. It's cold at night, cover yourself up. He gently patted her head twice with his large hand. It's warm. That's the warmth only family can provide. Seo Nan's defenses collapsed completely in that instant. Tears welled up in her eyes. Since her parents died, no one has ever shown her such care. She didn't want to go back to that cold, damp cave. She didn't want to be beaten up again for a moldy loaf of bread. She wants a home. I do. Just as Tobirama turned to leave, a girl's voice, trembling with tears, yet unusually resolute, came from behind. I want to become stronger. I want to become your disciple. Please teach me ninjutsu so I can become as strong as you, teacher. Tobirama stopped in his tracks, a smile playing on his lips. It's done. He turned around and looked at the little girl who peeked out from under the covers, her face streaked with tears but her eyes stubborn. Certainly. Quote, go to sleep early, my good disciple. I'll wake you up early tomorrow morning. Ninja training is very tough. After saying that, Tobirama turned off the light and closed the door in one swift motion. The room was plunged into darkness again. But this time, the darkness was no longer cold. Seo Nan huddled under the covers, her heart pounding. Is this a new life? Teacher. She silently repeated those two words to herself. Although I'm still a little scared, and I don't know what the future holds. But at least tonight, she can have a sweet dream now. I must work hard. I must become stronger. When I become powerful, I'll let everyone enjoy the good life together. Seo Nan clenched her little fists and fell into a deep sleep, filled with both anticipation and trepidation for the future. Outside the door, Tobirama leaned against the wall, listening to the even breathing coming from inside. Done. Next, we need to properly train Seo Nan. Maybe I can even steal the Rinnegan while I'm at it? Episode 18 Tsunad's Decision. The incompetent Hokage. The capable Uchiha. It was early morning, just as dawn was breaking. Tobirama promptly pulled Conan out of bed. Master. Just 5 more minutes of sleep. Seo Nan rubbed her eyes sleepily, her short, bluish-purple hair sticking up in all directions like a puffed-up kitten. She had just started her new home yesterday and slept so soundly that she didn't want to get up at all. There's no such thing as sleeping in the ninja world. Tobirama didn't indulge her. He simply slapped a hot towel on her face. Wash your face, eat, and the special training will begin in 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, Seo Nan sat obediently cross-legged on the carpet, still yawning, but her eyes had become serious. Listen carefully, chakra is the combination of physical and mental energy. Tobirama walked around behind her and placed a hand on her thin back. Close your eyes and feel my guidance. A gentle stream of chakra flowed from Tobirama's palm and slowly entered Conan's meridians. Warm and tingly, Seo Nan subconsciously shrank her neck, her face slightly flushed. Master's hands are so big, and so hot. Don't get distracted, Tobirama snapped. Grasp that feeling, and try to refine it yourself. Seo Nan was startled and quickly focused her attention. It must be said that the future angel is indeed exceptionally gifted. Only 5 minutes had passed. Buzz. A pale blue chakra fluctuation spontaneously emanated from Conan's body. Though faint, it was pure. Success. Conan suddenly opened her eyes, jumped up excitedly, and looked at Tobirama as if presenting a treasure. Master, I did it. I have chakra. Tobirama withdrew his hand, a hint of admiration flashing in his eyes. It takes ordinary people at least several days to refine chakra, but this girl did it in 5 minutes. Well done. Tobirama smiled and ruffled her hair, then gently smoothed down her unruly strands. As expected of the disciple I chose, he didn't let me down. After being praised by Tobirama and receiving an affectionate head pat, Conan's face turned as red as a ripe apple, but her heart was filled with sweet joy. It feels so good to be valued and praised. Master, what's next? Seo Nan tilted her head back, her bright orange eyes sparkling with a longing to become stronger. Don't rush, learn the three bodies technique first. Tobirama pulled a basic scroll from the bookshelf and tossed it to her. You practice on your own first, I need to take care of some official business. If you haven't learned the transformation technique by the time I get back, tonight's delicious meal will be gone. Huh? Upon hearing that it was braised pork, Seo Nan immediately made a face, hugged the scroll, and huddled in a corner to study it diligently. Amigakure Village, temporary command post. Tobirama, a man with a pineapple-shaped hairstyle and several scars on his face walked over. Nara, Shikaku. He is Konoha's strategist and also Konoha's current frontline commander. The Hokage's latest orders have arrived. Shikaku handed over a scroll, his expression somewhat strange. Following a unanimous decision by the higher command, and in recognition of your outstanding achievements on the front lines, you are hereby promoted to captain of the Dark Squad. Choose your own code name, return to the village immediately to report for duty, and accept new transfer orders. The host took the scroll, glanced at it, and a cold smile curled at the corner of his mouth. Dark area? What a demotion in disguise. It looks like they've joined an elite unit directly under the Hokage, but what's the reality? The members of the Secret Service must wear masks, have no names, and can only carry out missions in the shadows. And what about returning to the village to report on one's work? This is clearly because they are afraid that he will become too powerful and influential on the front lines, so they want to transfer him back to the village to keep him under surveillance. Old monkey, you've got a clever plan. Tobirama understood perfectly. If it were an ordinary person, they would probably go back gratefully. But he's different. He has a cheat code, and he knows the plot. Even though Hanzo is dead, will the land of lightning and the land of earth let go of the land of rain, such a tempting prize? A large-scale war is about to break out, and when the front lines are in dire straits, Hiruzen and Sarutobi will have to beg him to come back. Since that's the case, Senior Shikaku, I have received the order. Tobirama casually tossed the scroll aside, his tone playful. However, I have some personal matters to attend to. I will discuss the matter of returning to the village with the Hokage myself. Nara Shikaku hesitated for a moment. Talk in person? But the journey is too far. You don't need to worry about that. Tobirama waved his hand, interrupting him directly. You go ahead with your work, don't worry about this. Seeing Tobirama's confident and fearless demeanor, Shikaku sighed. The geniuses of the Uchiha clan are indeed not so easy to deal with. Hopefully nothing goes wrong. No sooner had Shikaku left than Tsunade burst in. I heard the old man wants you to go back to the village and join the Secret Service? Tsunade frowned, clearly understanding the implication as well. It's best to avoid places like the Dark Guard. If you want to refuse, I'll talk to the old man. Need not. Quote. Tobirama walked up to Tsunade and reached out to straighten her headband, which was slightly askew. Their movements were as natural as those of an old married couple. Going back is perfect. I'd like to rest for a couple of days too. Moreover, joining the shadowy forces isn't necessarily a bad thing, as long as the price is right. Tsunade looked into his deep eyes, blushed, and didn't dodge his hand. As long as you know it, that's fine. By the way, tonight. Tobirama suddenly leaned closer and lowered his voice. Want to grab a drink tonight to celebrate my promotion? Tsunade's heart skipped a beat. The implication in those words couldn't be clearer. You. Tsunade bit her lip, wanting to refuse, but her mind was filled with images of that night in the tent. HMPH, it depends on my mood. She turned around haughtily and walked quickly out, her back view giving the impression of a hasty retreat. Remember to bring some alcohol. Laughter came from behind him. Tsunade stumbled, but quickened her pace. Having dealt with Tsunade, the next step is the third Hokage. Tobirama returned to a secluded corner. He pulled a specially made Flying Thunder God kunai from his ninja tool pouch. Having already acquired the Flying Thunder God technique, he had long since used summoning beasts to place Flying Thunder God marks all over the ninja world, including the Land of Fire, where they were already completely covered. Flying Thunder God technique. Brush. Tobirama's figure vanished in an instant. Konoha Village, Hokage's office. Hiruzen Sarutobi was sitting at his desk, processing various documents. Sudden, a ripple flashed in the air. There were no warning signs whatsoever. A figure appeared out of nowhere in front of the desk and plopped down on the pile of documents. Yo, Hokage-sama, what are you looking at so intently? Tobirama? Hiruzen Sarutobi's pupils contracted slightly. The front lines are several days' journey from Konoha. Even though the intelligence mentioned that he knew the Flying Thunder God technique developed by the second generation, seeing it with my own eyes still left me somewhat frightened. Is this his Flying Thunder God technique? She looks exactly like the second generation teacher. No, even faster. How did you get back? Shikaku just sent a telegram saying you just received the order. Hiruzen Sarutobi suppressed his shock and put on the appearance of a kind elder. Good to be back, good to be back. You have rendered a great service on the front lines this time, destroying the land of rain and bringing glory to Konoha. We're sending you into the Dark Division to give you experience and training. After all, you're still young." The old monkey started making empty promises. He knew this process very well: first praise, then pressure, and finally talk about dedication. Unfortunately, Tobirama wasn't buying it. "Alright, third-generation lord." Tobirama interrupted his long-winded speech, casually picking up the pipe on the table and playing with it. "Everyone's busy, so let's skip the formalities. You want me to join the Dark Division? Sure. Want to suppress my reputation? No problem. But..." Tobirama leaned forward, his dark eyes instantly transforming into 3 Tomoe Sharingan, staring directly at Hiruzen Sarutobi. It was imposing. "This small amount of leverage isn't enough to make me obedient." Hiruzen Sarutobi's smile froze. The air inside the room froze instantly. Just as the guards from the Anbu were about to show themselves, Hiruzen Sarutobi stopped them with a wave of his hand. He squinted, looking at the 12-year-old boy in front of him. "It's too sharp. This knife is indeed difficult to hold. But he has no choice now." "What do you want?" Hiruzen Sarutobi asked in a deep voice, his tone now tinged with wariness. This kid actually dared to negotiate terms with him directly? This is the first time a genin has dared to do something like this since he became Hokage. Tobirama smiled. "It's very simple." He held up 3 fingers. "First, I want absolute autonomy for the Dark Division. My squads are my decision-makers. Secondly, I demand absolute freedom. No one in the village can command or control me, and no one has the right to question what I do. Third," Tobirama paused, his eyes turning playful, "I want the village to recognize my position as the head of the security forces. At the same time, the law enforcement authority of the Uchiha clan's security forces must be expanded. The Uchiha should be able to act unilaterally without prior approval. As long as you agree to these 3 points, I am the fastest knife in your hand. Otherwise..." Tobirama stood up and patted the documents under his buttocks. "I will refuse any orders from the Hokage, but I can't guarantee what else I might do." "Threaten." A blatant threat. Hiruzen Sarutobi gripped his pipe tightly. Each of these 3 conditions crossed his bottom line. In particular, the expansion of the security forces' powers is a way of loosening the reins on the Uchiha clan. But, can he refuse? Tobirama's power was simply too great, he was powerless to restrain him. Moreover, they were currently at war, and things could easily escalate into internal strife, causing Konoha to suffer heavy losses or even defeat. He couldn't bear the blame for that. Moreover, the strength Tobirama displayed and his Flying Thunder God technique indeed the strategic deterrent that Konoha urgently needs right now. A long time. Hiruzen Sarutobi took a deep drag on his cigarette, his eyes shifting between light and shadow. Finally, he exhaled a breath of stale air, looking as if he had aged 10 years. "Good." Quote, "I promise you." Episode 19 Expressing Feelings. Tsunad's Training. The Hokage's office in Konoha. Hiruzen Sarutobi stared at the empty room and the missing bottle of his prized sake on the table, his anger rising to his core. "That brat. He not only tries to extort money from me, but he even takes my wine?" By this time, Tobirama had already slipped away. Flying Thunder God technique. The Land of Rain. Tobirama landed steadily, carrying the vintage wine he'd swiped from the old man, feeling so happy he wanted to hum a little tune. This trip back to the village was a huge success. Not only did they gain autonomy over the Secret Service, they also practically stripped the old man bare. "Master?" Sionan's groggy voice came from the next room. "It's okay, go to sleep." Faye called out through the door, "Master has to work overtime tonight on a big matter. Don't wander around outside unless it's absolutely necessary." After calming his obedient disciple down, Tobirama straightened his collar, took a deep breath, and headed towards Tsunad's room at the end of the corridor. "Tonight, I have important business to attend to." Knock knock knock. The knocking sounded especially clear in the rainy night. "Enter." Quote. His voice was somewhat languid, with a barely perceptible tremor. He pushed open the door and entered. Then, he froze. Even having lived 2 lives and seen all sorts of situations, at this moment, his breath still skipped a beat. The main lights were off in the room. Only a few warm yellow-scented candles were lit. Tsunade was not wearing her signature green robe with the gambling character on it, nor was she wearing the stiff ninja combat uniform. She was wearing a light pink silk robe. The fabric was thin, clinging to her body and outlining her devilish curves that could drive any man in the ninja world mad. The neckline was low, revealing large expanses of snow-white skin that gleamed in the candlelight, and the deep cleavage seemed to draw one's soul in. Her long, golden hair was not tied up, but casually draped over her shoulders, the ends still damp from her recent shower. She was holding 2 wine glasses, leaning against the window. She turned around when she heard the door open. That usually imposing face was now adorned with light makeup, and every corner of his eyes and brows exuded charm. What, are you stunned? Tsunade swirled the wine glass in her hand, a half-smile playing on her lips, her eyes carrying a hint of provocation and a touch of shyness. Uchiha brat, weren't you saying you were going to celebrate? What are you standing there for? Afraid I'll eat you? Tobirama snapped out of his daze, his Adam's apple bobbing up and down. Afraid? Quote. Tobirama closed the door behind him and locked it. A crisp click sounded, creating an unusually ambiguous atmosphere in the quiet room. He strode over, placed the bottle of wine he was holding directly on the table, his eyes burning with intensity. I was just thinking, I should drink first. Let's eat people first. Tsunade blushed, but still maintained her mature and authoritative aura as she handed him the wine glass. Stop being so cheeky. Let's drink first. The two sat down on the tatami mats by the window. Outside the window, it was a cold, rainy night. Inside, it was bathed in the enchanting light of spring. One glass of wine down. Tsunade's cheeks flushed a rosy blush, and her eyes began to glaze over. Alcohol is the best catalyst. She stopped putting on airs and unconsciously leaned towards Tobirama, her pleasant scent of shower gel wafting into his nostrils. Hey, Tobirama. Tsunade rested her chin on one hand and extended her index finger with the other, gently poking Tobirama's chest. My fingertip slid down his collarbone, sending a jolt of electricity through my skin. You little brat, did you have your eye on me all along? Back in school, I felt there was something wrong with the way you looked at me. Unlike those drooling brats, your eyes are so aggressive. Tobirama grabbed the mischievous finger and gently bit it. Tsunade's body trembled slightly. Since you knew that, why did you still dare to open the door for me in the middle of the night? Tobirama leaned closer to her, their breaths mingling. Isn't this inviting a wolf into the house? Tsunade smiled. She laughed so hard her body trembled, and the view of her chest was even more voluptuous, making Tobirama's mouth go dry. Inviting a wolf into the house? Tsunade suddenly lunged forward, wrapping her arms around Tobirama's neck, her breath sweet as orchids. That's for the weak. For me. This is called, the willing take the bait. After several rounds of drinks, the two had gone from sitting opposite each other to cuddling together. Tsunade leaned against Tobirama's chest, listening to his strong heartbeat. Her previous teasing and joking slowly subsided, replaced by an unprecedented vulnerability and tenderness. Tobirama, do you know? Tsunade looked at the rain outside the window, her voice somewhat unsteady. From childhood to adulthood, everyone has called me Princess Senju, or the granddaughter of Hashirama, the god of shinobi. They either fear me, fawn over me, or want to take advantage of me. Grandpa died young, and my second grandpa also died on the battlefield. I desperately tried to become stronger, and I desperately studied medical ninjutsu, just because I didn't want to see anyone around me die anymore. As she said this, she raised her head, her brown eyes glistening with tears, and stared intently at Tobirama. I originally thought I would fight like any other ninja, until I died on some unknown battlefield. Until I met you. You saved my life, and gave me a sense of security, like there's someone to hold up the sky even if it falls. Tsunade reached out and stroked Tobirama's face. Her fingers traced his eyebrows, his eyes, and finally stopped at his lips. This feels so dreamlike. It's so dreamlike it scares me. I might wake up to find myself back at that battlefield littered with corpses. Tobirama took her hand and placed it against his heart. This is not a dream. His voice was deep and firm, devoid of its usual playful tone. Tsunade, from the day you entrusted your life to me in the tent, you had no way out. The Uchiha clan is very greedy. Once they've got something, they'll never let go, even if it means death. From now on, I'll protect you. This is a promise. It is a man's promise to a woman. Tsunade looked at him. Tears finally streamed down her face, but a radiant smile spread across her lips. Fool. Who needs your protection? I'm very strong. Despite saying that, she tilted her head back and offered her lips. But, since you've put it that way, then, don't let me down. The last thread of reason snapped. Tobirama lowered his head and kissed those two soft red lips fiercely. It was no longer a half-hearted attempt, but a raging storm of plunder. The wine bottle was knocked over, and the fragrant wine spilled onto the carpet, making the intoxicating atmosphere even more pronounced. Her hands gripped Tobirama's back tightly, her nails almost digging into his flesh. The lights flickered. The pink-robed sash had come undone at some point. Slide. The highest peak of snow on Mount Everest was displayed before Tobirama's eyes without reservation. The scenery was enough to drive anyone mad, more deadly than any illusion, yet irresistibly tempting any mountaineering enthusiast to climb it. Tobirama's hand caressed the warm, jade-like mountain peak as he climbed higher, becoming the first person to set foot on the Mount Everest of riding. Tsunade. Tobirama's voice was terribly hoarse, and his eyes seemed to burn with two flames. Tsunade's face was flushed, her eyes were glazed, and she had long lost her usual domineering demeanor. He picked Tsunade up and carried her to the soft bed, where the two were about to begin an important ninja training session. The sound of rain outside the window grew louder and louder, drowning out all other sounds inside the house. The training of a ninja is destined to be difficult and arduous. The immortal body of the Thousand Hands clan possesses a life force as vast as the sea. The chakra of the Uchiha clan is fiery and violent. The two cultivated chakra, which rapidly increased amidst the ordinary forest and raging fire. Tsunade felt as if she were tossed about on a stormy sea as they circulated their chakra together. Every flow and fusion of chakra sent shivers down her spine. The trembling sensation in her soul during her practice made her forget all her burdens and mission. He could only hold on to Tobirama's hand tightly and train even more diligently. Tobirama, until the sky began to lighten with the first hint of dawn. The wind and rain have just stopped. Tsunade nestled in Tobirama's arms like a lazy cat, her blonde hair disheveled and her body covered in red marks. Those were injuries sustained during this training. She was so exhausted that she didn't even have the strength to move a finger. But a satisfied smile played on his lips. Tobirama held her in his arms, playing with a strand of her hair, his heart filled with countless emotions. Finally, we got it. Episode 20, The Ambush. Who is the prey? You are the prey. At the entrance to Yayan village, the morning mist had not yet dissipated. Tsunade stood by the roadside, her eyes a little red, clearly having not slept well last night, or rather, having been tossed and turned and not getting a good night's sleep. As she straightened Tobirama's collar, she kept muttering to herself, "Be careful on your way back to the village." Although the old man agreed to the conditions, that old dog Danzo certainly won't stay put. If anyone dares to give you a hard time, don't hold back, just use Flying Thunder God technique to come back and tell me, and I'll get revenge for you. This is Tsunade. Even during the honeymoon phase, that protective instinct doesn't diminish. Tobirama took her hand and kissed the smooth back of it. Don't worry, if my little tigress at home is this fierce, how could I, as a man, let outsiders bully her? Go to hell. Who's the tigress? Tsunade punched him, but couldn't help but smile. Alright, get out of here. Go early and come back early. I'll be waiting for you in Rain Village. Tobirama smiled, said nothing more, turned and waved. He's gone. Beside her, Conan, carrying a small school bag, obediently bowed to Tsunade. Goodbye, Master's wife. That address of Master's wife made Tsunade's heart flutter with joy, and her face flushed. Tsunade watched the two figures disappear into the distance, then touched her burning cheeks. These days seemed to hold more hope. After leaving Amigakure, the road conditions became more complicated. Half of it was a muddy swamp, and the other half was a dense jungle. Master, why are we going this way? Conan carried a backpack bigger than herself, but remained silent, simply following closely behind Tobirama. Because someone wanted to invite me for tea, I have to give him a chance. Tobirama wore a cold smile, but his steps were slow. Come on, Seo Nan, the road conditions are perfect now. Today's first lesson, chakra control. Concentrate your chakra at the soles of your feet, like suction cups clinging to a tree trunk, but not too tightly. As he spoke, Tobirama demonstrated by stepping onto a tall, vertical tree and walking up it as if it were flat ground. Seo Nan's eyes lit up, and she followed suit. Bang! He had only taken 2 steps when he lost control of his chakra and accidentally crushed the tree bark, falling flat on his backside. Fool. Quote. Although Tobirama complained, he still reached out and pulled her up, patiently brushing the mud off her pants. Don't rush, take your time. In the shadows deep within the jungle. Intelligence confirmed. The target is Uchiha Tobirama, accompanied only by a brat. The route is correct. It was Lord Danzo who provided the information. Both sides of the jungle. A group of bounty hunters, dressed in haphazard clothes and exuding a menacing aura, were cleaning their weapons. 50 million taels of silver. The leader, a scarred man, licked his lips, his eyes gleaming with greed. If we kill him, we can live like royalty at the gold exchange for the rest of our lives. But boss, I heard that kid killed Hanzo. Pa, that's just a rumor. Scarface spat. A 12-year-old brat? It's definitely something those Konoha people made up to create hype. Hanzo was definitely killed by the 3 legendary Sannin. Yeah, right, let's do it. And in the treetops further away. The dark forces of the Land of Lightning and the puppeteers of the Land of Wind lurk like venomous snakes. They're not in a hurry. They were waiting for this group of cannon fodder to go up and wear them down first. Master, I feel like something's not right. Seo Nan, who was practicing treading water, suddenly stopped. Tobirama raised a finger and held it to his lips. He stood still on the water, the ripples spreading slowly beneath his feet. Seo Nan, this is the second lesson for today. What should you do when facing an enemy who wants you dead? The words had barely left his mouth. Kill them. The surrounding bushes suddenly exploded open. A dozen or so ferocious-looking bounty hunters, brandishing large swords and kunai, charged out with strange cries. 50 million taels is mine. You brat, prepare to die. A barrage of low-level ninjutsu rained down upon them. Fireballs, wind blades, and shurikens blocked all escape routes. Nan turned pale with fright and instinctively tried to form a hand seal. But a warm, large hand gently grasped hers. The next second, he disappeared. Body instantaneous movement technique. It's not Flying Thunder God technique, it's merely a simple physical teleportation technique. However, with the enhancement of the 3 Tomoe Sharingan, this speed was more than enough to deal with this rabble. Brush. Quote. A flash of light appeared. The scarred man at the front, his sinister grin still lingering, began to feel dizzy. He saw a headless body still charging forward. That was myself? Tobirama, wielding a long sword, moved through the crowd like a ghost. There were no unnecessary movements. He sidestepped, dodging the kunai. He swung the knife and slit the throat. Lift your leg and kick your heart to pieces. Ah, quote, my hand. He's a monster. The intelligence is wrong. Run. The bounty hunters, who had been so aggressive just moments before, now looked like lambs to the slaughter, letting out pitiful screams. All the knowledge they were so proud of throughout their lives was utterly useless in front of this boy. Those scarlet eyes. That was the last sight they would ever see in their lives. Run? Quote. Tobirama sneered and flicked his long sword. Since we're here, let's leave them all as fertilizer. Uchiha-style sword leaps in flames. The blade is ablaze. A crimson arc of sword energy swept out horizontally. The remaining 5 bounty hunters who tried to escape were instantly cut in half at the waist. Blood splattered on the leaves, dripping softly. In just 10 seconds, the battle is over. The ground was littered with corpses, not a single one was alive. Tobirama stood amidst the corpses, flicking the blood off his sword. His black trench coat was completely wrinkle-free. Nan turned pale upon seeing the hellish scene and almost vomited. But she held back, because her master was still watching over her. This is the ninja world. Tobirama said calmly, his tone eerily so. To be merciful to the enemy is to be cruel to oneself. Did you remember? Nan bit her lip and nodded emphatically. I understand, master. Tobirama smiled with satisfaction. Then, he turned around and looked at the seemingly deserted dense forest on his left. Those 3 Tomoe Sharingan eyes slowly rotated, radiating a chilling light that was captivating. Now that you've seen enough, come out, everyone. Guests from the land of thunder, and a puppeteer from the land of wind. Hiding your head and showing your tail, aren't you ashamed? The wind rustled through the treetops. A deathly silence. Immediately afterwards, HMPH. As expected, he's a master of perception. It seems those bounty hunters didn't die in vain. HMPH. Dozens of figures instantly sprang out of the woods, forming a fan shape to surround Tobirama and Conan. On the left is an elite member of the Dark Guard, wearing a cloud-hidden mask, with dark skin and covered in lightning. On the right is a jonin, dressed in a Tsunagaku robe, who is controlling a strange puppet. More than 30 people. Moreover, the chakra fluctuations emanating from each of them were far superior to those of the smaller foes from before. Tobirama Uchiha, the leader of the Cloud Village, drew his ninja sword from his back, and his lightning chakra crackled. Your head is too valuable, and too dangerous. Today, this is where you will die. Seeing so many powerful enemies, Conan tightly gripped Tobirama's clothes with her small hands. Master. Fine. Quote. Tobirama patted her hand and shielded her behind him. Faced with the combined might of 2 great powers, he showed no fear whatsoever. Instead, he sheathed his sword. She even lazily twisted her neck. Is this all the people there? Tobirama glanced around, his gaze finally settling on the shadows further away, where Danzo's roots lay hidden. A wildly arrogant smile curled at the corner of his lips. Let's all come at once. I'm in a hurry. After all, we still need to go back to Konoha.